Hey everybody, welcome to another Zoom cast here at Redeemer, and today I have some incredible people with me, the people who are the foundation and the inventors of the virtual Bible school that we've all been experiencing this week, and that we have people in at least 10 different states taking part in Vacation Bible School this year. And I've heard from one, my sister, who's thinking about making Sarasota a vacation spot for when Vacation Bible School is happening, so that her kids can continue to take part in VBS in the future. And so that's the kind of stuff that we're all about at Redeemer, and this is really exciting and really well done. And so I'm going to start with Beth and Mandy and Jacki, and I want to ask you guys, at what point did you decide, all right, we have to make this thing virtual? I remember this, but not everyone else does. At what point was it, we're going to have to plan for virtual here? And what kind of fear and trepidation did you feel as you were making those decisions?
Well, I believe it was early April. Am I remembering right?
Yes.
I met with Father Wood and Father Wilson, and it was evident that we were closed. We weren't even having any kind of on-campus worship or anything else. So it became very evident that we needed to make a plan. And the first thing I did was reach out to Beth as this year's coordinator, because she did not say yes to doing a virtual VBS. But then she did say yes. And of course, with Mandy as her right-hand man, it was just the dream team to do the pivot. It became increasingly apparent that we were going to be in a rabbit hole with video and the production of all the content that we were going to be sending out. And then God took care of that too. And Caroline Devitt, who grew up in the parish, always has photographed Vacation Bible School, was supposed to be in New York City this summer for an internship. It was postponed. And she reached out to me and said, hey, could you use some help this summer? And that's how it happened. Is that what you guys remember, Mandy and Beth?
Absolutely. I remember you calling me, Jacki, and saying that the decision had been made. And while, if I'm being perfectly honest, it was overwhelming to hear at first, I was reassured when you had shared with me another parish in Atlanta that had already made the plans to go virtual, and that it in fact expanded their reach to be able to offer it to children in so many different states, as Father Wood mentioned, to the 10 different states that we have actively participating now. And I think as a parent to a child in elementary school, I was ready to know that they had something, even though it wasn't a virtual component, because we lived through the summer. We were now over 2 months removed from virtual school, and they needed that again in their lives. So it's been amazing to hear from so many and how they felt the same, that their children needed this and needed it more than ever. And now to hear how all of the great stories and see so many pictures that are being shared with us.
Yeah, it's really heartwarming to watch such beauty and love of our Lord on social media, when so many other times in social media I see the opposite of that. And it's so nice to flood social media with that love and that presence of Christ through children. And remember, I want everyone always to remember that when the disciples were rebuking children to stay awake, Christ rebuked the disciples and brought them forward. And that to enter into heaven, we have to have the faith of the children who we are serving in VBS. And you all have laid the foundation of their faith this week in this VBS program, and it's just absolutely incredible. Mandy, did you want to add anything?
I would agree, I'm sorry, with what Beth was saying about the timing when we found out this was going to go virtual. As parents, we were in the middle of online school, homeschool, and when she called, I was like, oh no. However, when we had our first meeting and had the center leaders come together and we started to brainstorm on how this was going to look, and it wasn't going to be our kids sitting in front of a computer for 4 or 5 hours a day. It's become very interactive. And I think once we saw the shape of it start to come together, it was very encouraging. And now this week we've seen it's just been so impressive to watch.
I love that Beth had chosen the Tale of the Three Trees as sort of the center point around which we were going to build the curriculum, which we always build our own curriculum here at Redeemer. And if you know the story, it's about these three trees that have a dream of what they're going to be. And they get a little bit disappointed that the plans that they had didn't quite work out the way they wanted them to. Kind of like our plans during this pandemic haven't been exactly as we had intended them to be, graduations, vacations, whatever. But the three trees realized these amazing plans that God had for each one of them. And so to be able to convey that notion to the children through VBS this week has been particularly appropriate and poignant to talk about plans that God has, even when we're disappointed with the plans that we have not working out, that God has a plan that's far greater than anything we can probably even imagine. So I just thought that was another blessing of COVID, that was the centerpiece that Beth had chosen. And what could be more timely than that message right now?
Yeah, and that is a great segue, Jackie, to the partnership we have with what's the name of the theater group that we're working with?
Friends of the Groom out of Ohio.
So we developed a partnership that we were going to have with them with in-person Bible school, and they were able to pivot with us too. And whoever can answer that, tell me about the relationship, the wonderful videos they're producing. I'm so thankful to them for that and for the work that they've done. What a wonderful theater group that we're working with. And tell me a little bit how that all came to be.
I have worked with Friends of the Groom for probably 25 years through the Christian Formation Conference at Canuga. That was my first introduction to them. And they have such a, well, you've seen it on the videos this week, they just have this amazing way of presenting the gospel in a fun, engaging way where the kernel of truth of the gospel is deeply implanted in whoever we are. Tom Long is the man who is the head of Friends of the Groom, and he and a man named Alan Pote collaborate on musicals that are intended for younger children. And we have done a whole bunch of them with Ann Stephenson-Moe. We've done Malice in the Palace. We've done The Rock Slinger's Greatest Hits. We've done Are We There Yet? And they are fun and energetic. Well, when Beth picked The Tale of the Three Trees, we found out that Tom Long and Alan Pote had written a musical based on that book. Mm. And that was what we were bringing them down to do. Of course, COVID hit. They have never done anything virtually before. So as you said, Father Wood, they pivoted with us and found out that they can reach people in virtually. And we will bring them to Sarasota sometime to do the Tale of the Three Trees.
Yeah. So Beth, what was it that made you pick the Tale of the Three Trees? What called you to that?
It's interesting, even pre-COVID, I always loved the story, The Tale of the Three Trees. And I think we can show the relevance of that to so many things in our lives. And I know as a parent, trying to teach our kids to be adaptable and understand that things don't always go as planned. And I think, of course, focusing on, through prayer, we'll understand that God has a greater plan for us. So I always loved it for that reason. And I think, as Jackie mentioned, to have so much more relevance this year, it's just made it extra special. I love to hear it. Brings tears to my eyes every time I read it. And I've loved to hear everybody talk about that, all the way from the package pickup on Sunday. I think we had 3 people say, I still can't make it through the whole book without crying. And I think it's just so touching to hear that. I love also that it's so true. We always think of, so many of us, build the first week before school into our summer plans so that we can be here. And there are some that can't because they have that week for a family reunion or something that takes them away. And they were happy that this year gave them the opportunity because so much of the planning for virtual Vacation Bible School needed to be done in advance. And so those who are not normally able to be here have been able to participate in an even bigger way. And they were excited about that. So I did not mention, and I need to mention absolutely, that we are so grateful for everybody in the parish that have stepped up. They never even gave it a second thought and just have embraced our virtual component for VBS and have made it just absolutely spectacular, all the way from center leaders to shepherds to the growers and music and outreach and everything. So,
which is a great, you guys keep giving me great segues, which is a great segue to Caroline, who Caroline was supposed to do an internship in New York, as Jacki mentioned. And when obviously everything happened, she didn't have an internship anymore. So I have been trying to develop a communications position here at Redeemer since about 2009 and a half. And we are using Caroline to prove that that position is really, really, really well used and something that can be an incredible feather in our cap. And so Caroline has been our communications intern. And I think the biggest part of her job has been to put all this stuff together and to go film folks and do all these things. And so Caroline, tell us a couple of things. Number one, tell us how many hours, just to guesstimate, how many hours do you think you've worked on this project alone? And two, how was it working with all the folks that you worked with? And what was it? Was there a lot of like fear, and then all of a sudden, oh wow, I could really do this and it's good, or what was going on?
So yeah, I think to answer your first question, probably like 50, 60 hours spent on all of this. You know, had to, well, yeah, maybe more, I don't know. But yeah, so they made it really easy. All the center leaders and the growers and everyone that I had to film made it really easy just to schedule them, which was really awesome. And I was really grateful for that. I am an amateur at best at video production. Chris, you definitely know more than I do. I just have like my little Nikon camera that is not meant for videos, but it did a beautiful job, I thought. So yeah, and then in terms of working with everyone, obviously social distancing 100% in place for everything that we did, masks on for everything, at least like unless people were speaking and on camera, but like, you know, so I think there was a little bit of fear there, but definitely like some camera shyness at the beginning, but once people kind of got into the groove of it, and I kind of got into the groove of it, it became a lot smoother, I think, as like I was able to like nod and encourage them behind the camera. It was helpful for them to just kind of feel comfortable like they were teaching a kid, because I grew up with a lot of these people. I grew up with a lot of the center leaders as my Sunday school teachers, which is really just crazy and awesome. But yeah, it was really cool and a really great experience to come home and kind of help everyone in this capacity.
Yeah, well, Caroline, you've done a fantastic job, and we cannot be more thankful for the ministry that you've taken part in Vacation Bible School. And I don't have words to thank you as much as I feel Thanksgiving for you. So thank you.
Thank
now,
you.
While Caroline was out filming everybody and literally running all over the county of Sarasota to find people and film them and do all those sorts of things, even up into Parrish, Florida, to film the Jones family, while all that was happening, Christoph and Jacki were leading packing parties in the parish hall. Was it every Tuesday?
Yeah.
Every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday. They were in the parish hall. Christoph was reaching out to all the kids and getting them to come down, and Jacki was leading the organizational aspect of it, which I would be terrible at. And you would have got people in day 5 and day 5 and day 1, and woof. But you guys packed these bags, and when we got them, it was so obvious what to do with them with my 3 children on Monday when we did Vacation Bible School. And tell me a little bit about joy in doing that, watching our youth work for our children.
Can I take that one first, Jackie?
Sure, go.
Yeah, so I think that I probably had the simplest job out of everyone in the Zoom room, because it was really just like get kids to show up to help out. And I was a little worried at first because I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's not the same. It'll just feel like chores. They won't be as excited. And, you know, maybe no one will show up if I ask them to. And so I send out all these texts and emails, and like the first Tuesday comes where we're going to be preparing, and there's just like this big turnout of people and parents too. And it was just so validating that people really wanted to contribute and participate. And that was a really good feeling. Yeah.
Well, and Beth and Mandy were there on Tuesday afternoons too, which was amazing. I'll be honest. When we saw how much was supposed to fit in that box, and the boxes had been ordered and they weren't returnable, I said to Judd one night, I don't know how to tell Beth this isn't all going to fit in one box. But it
Jackie,
did. It was like a miracle.
Jackie, I have a question for you. How much more preparation do you think goes into a virtual VBS than a normal VBS? Because you've done many normal VBSs.
That's a really good question.
I think it's like 10 times. That's my guess.
It's different. I mean, it's different. It's so, you know, obviously it has to be so front end loaded. That we're going to study that question. What do you guys think? Beth and Mandy, you've been involved in Bible school. Is it more work, less work?
You know, I think it's just to your point, it's more work on the front end and throughout the summer. I would say that there's, you know, more planning and pulling the details together, but we're not there for 4 hours every day. So that's different. There's certainly a lot less work the week of. I think there's a lot of really being able to sit back and just embrace and enjoy and see it all come together and hear all the great stories. So it seems a lot more relaxed in that way, I think. But the week of is always just so exciting. So I feel like either way, it's just amazing to see that we met our maximum registration number.
We did.
And even in a year like this. So that was exciting.
I know.
I don't know. What do you think, Mandy?
What do you think, Mandy?
I agree. I mean, the pre-work was definitely a lot more, but this week, starting Monday, I have felt so relaxed, and I've been able to enjoy it with my kids, which I normally don't do. And to walk them through it this week, and really to have most of our volunteer work done, and to just be able to sit back and participate with them has been amazing.
Mandy, would you speak to our shepherds? Because that was a very important part of Bible school that we thought at one point we thought we'd have the instructional hours, we'd have the activities, but the relational ministry that happens through the adult shepherds that work with each grade level, we weren't sure how that was going to work. So would you speak to that?
Yes. So our shepherds, typically when we're on campus, they are in charge of one grade level each, or for the whole week, and they shepherd these kids from one activity to the next. And so when we started talking about our volunteers for virtual VBS, we wanted our shepherds to really be our liaison, so that we aren't just putting these kids out there with a website and a password, but really to have somebody that they could call on, or that they would hear from before this week began, during this week, and as the week wraps up. So our shepherds have been wonderful at that. They've been sending postcards home to these kids, encouraging them, and then also they're getting a lot of feedback and pictures from them this week that they are sending on to us, that hopefully we can put something together with all the pictures. But I just say the shepherds have been vital, because there's no way the 5 or 6 of us on this call could reach out to every kid this week and make it personal. So they have been able to do that for us.
I loved their video introductions.
Yes.
We've gotten so much great feedback about that. And And so that relational part of Christ's ministry that he exhibited and gave us the example for, we were able to implement even though this is a virtual week. So I love that you guys were smart enough to figure that one out.
Yeah, I'll tell you, one of the most amazing things I see in Bible school each year is the friendships that get kindled and stronger with the kids in their grades, because it's all the grades, you know, kindergarten, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and then you have the shepherds who are the older kids. They're shepherds, right?
Eight.
I always get the
shepherds are grown-ups.
There you go. So what I found is watching my three children do it together, and Martha being someone who would have not been had the full VBS experience this year, but she gets to have it because she's a little too young to do it live, is that my three children are bonding over this experience together.
Oh, isn't that neat? That's great.
And so while they're not getting the bonding with their friends, they're getting bonding as siblings, and I think that's such a special event too, for that to happen. And so it just shows you that the Holy Spirit always makes lemonade out of lemons. All right. I think we're about done. Is there anything that I have forgotten about, Jackie, that we need to talk about?
No, if anybody wants to get any more information, they're welcome to contact me, and I'm happy to share whatever we can. Mandy is going to be our VBS coordinator in 2021, and so she's already picked out her theme and her colors, so she's on it. And that's how this works. That's how it works, and she will have an equally great person working beside her as Beth did with Mandy, working with her, and so on we go.
Mandy, you want to let us in on the secret?
Well, we just came up with it today, and I'm not sure, Jackie.
You can. Go, girl.
We are planning to do Let Your Light Shine, based on the Bible verse from Matthew. And we'll see how it all comes together. We will build off of that, and of course have great music and Bible stories and activities for next year, hopefully on campus. But hey, if we're not there, we know how to do this now. So
we know how to do this. We know how to do this. By God's grace, we know how to do this, and by a lot of miracles.
Well, I want to thank every single one of you for making this possible. Beth, your leadership has been incredible and steady and so confident through this whole thing, and we could not have done this without you and your constant leadership throughout this. And thank you so much for the grace that you have shown us all. And Mandy, thank you so much for being the co-pilot on this ship and helping out with all the navigation needs that we've needed to make. Christoph, thank you so much for your outstanding work as youth minister and bringing all those kids down. And Caroline, amazing work. You were literally thrown into 9 miles of water with sharks all around you, and you tamed the sharks and swam to shore. It's incredible. And Jackie, you are the most talented person I've ever met.
Your check's in the mail.
And thank you for all you do.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks to the kids. Thanks to the center leaders, the shepherds, the growers, the art, the tie-dye, everybody, the staff, the clergy. We didn't get a no, did we, guys?
Mm-mm.
We didn't get a no from anybody. Everybody was just on board, and Beth and Mandy, I can't ever thank you guys enough for not abandoning ship.
I would like to say thanks to the parents for trusting it's going to work and still registering your kids and sending them our way, because I can understand that there was probably doubt, but we thank you for trusting that we could pull this off.
Such a great point. Yes, thank you.
Can I add one thing? Father Wilson, I think it was in a staff meeting, but he has kind of talked about how this is all very uncharted territory and how much growth happens during VBS because kids so engaged and so just feel so connected to the church and the friends that they make there. And so that's a really great way to get families to start coming to Redeemer. And the fact that we've been able to do that across 10 states, you know, I think we have several new parishioners that haven't even stepped foot on Redeemer's property. And I just can't wait to see what this virtual VBS does for that. So thank you guys so much for just helping us grow. I think that's really awesome.
Way to end it with the theme of VBS, Caroline.
Oh yeah.
I know.
How about
So
that?
talented. All right, guys.
Another
Well,
proof of,
yeah, it was great to be with you all, and I hope everyone in the virtual world who gets to watch this enjoys it very much. God bless you all. Good night.
Thank you.
You.
yeah.